Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. I have Adil with me today. Cam's en route to my house at the moment as we speak, so he won't be joining. Oh, he will join us if he does make it on time. Uh, beside me here, so he'll join us soon. How are you, Adil?
Good, another good week.
Good weekend.
Yeah, a bit slow compared to normal, so that's always good.
That's a good side. Finally, at least you'll be rested, well rested, energized, ready to go. A lot to talk about, especially about United. So you should be fired up today. Huh?
Yeah,
Full cylinder, red mist should be on.
that's no different than the last few weeks, is it? No different than the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly where we're gonna start because obviously out of the 5 games, 3 lost, 2 wins, and another disappointing performance at home because I mean if you look at the previous games at home either against I think it was Nottingham Forest and Wolves, they didn't really perform. Got away with the one against Wolves again, Nottingham Forest 2-0 down, and this one, I mean 3-1. You could have said it could have been much worse. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, if you reference the previous home games where you could argue United were lucky, is quite kind of roles reversed until the goal happened
Yeah,
because United were much the better team. Even that first half. But that how easy it is to score past this United team, it's unbelievable. I mean, that was literally the first time um, Brighton managed to break through. And if you look at a lot of the goals United have conceded this season, they're all very similar. They're conceding all the goals in the center of the penalty box, which is no one around them a lot of the time, but that's a recipe for disaster. If you look at all the goals they conceded against Brighton, same area, central of the penalty spot, you're not really giving the goalkeeper any
no,
chance or any protection. Thing is, it's one thing center of the goal. It's another thing when there's no protection in front of those shots. Literally
he had a free
pick
shot,
either side. Yeah, pick either side for every goal. Keep has
but
no teeth. So it's that's the problem is how soft they are off the ball and how poor their defending structure is. I mean, as well as the attacking play has just gone considerably worse from last season.
hmm. But
So
that's
yeah,
that's that's what I was gonna say. Atu is like if you look at the first goal in isolation, like Welbeck literally runs past Casemiro once, then switches the play to that, run past him again, and he still doesn't pick him up. Or none of the defenders shouting at Casemiro to pick him up, or one of them push up to that player to pick up. None. They just watched him run through. Literally, he had 3 passes into him. He was involved in every single pass before, obviously. What's his name finishes him off? Um, Gone out my
well,
head. Welbeck finishes off. Sorry.
yeah. I mean, I think the problem United have had all season is obviously case mirror tracking of runners, but beyond that, the real problem is the fullbacks. The fullbacks are not picking up. They're picking up players at the wrong times. So you look at that first goal. The whole problem is actually created by Reguilon, because by Reguilon going out tight to the winger, he then and so no one's picking up a dinger because he's not picking up his man. He's gone sucked in to the right back, and that's where all the problems start because suddenly Welbeck is completely free, and what Brighton were doing very clever was they're putting 2 men either side of Casemiro. So what that really meant is one of the centre backs has to go in tight on one of those, whether it's Welbeck or Mitoma.
Yeah.
You know, one of the defenders had to go in tight so Casemiro can focus on the other, and they did it sometimes, not always properly, especially when Martinez dropped in. But on that occasion, Martinez couldn't drop in because he had Adinga completely free.
Yeah.
Regular's completely, positioned in the wrong place, has got sucked into the goal kick or the long pass into the right back, and that's it. Now suddenly, Casemiro's, it looks like he's out of position. He's not picking, but really he's focusing more on Mitoma. You get thinking Martin, his job
Do
is
you know what I think though? Also, but also I personally think tactically that was the ploy for Regulon to be pushed up more, because if you look at, they were almost pressing with, obviously they had Rashford and Hoyland up front with Bruno Fernandes behind them, so they needed that wing back to push up. So that's where Ericsson etc. need to pick up that number 10. Because of that, obviously that leaves that gap, right? So if that is the case, Regulon is doing what he's kind of asked to do, because obviously Brighton trying to exploit that space out wide with the fullback.
no, because that's impossible. Because who picks up a dinger? I mean,
The left center back, because that's how they're going to press. Because
no.
if you look
But
at
then you're gonna
but
have
that no, but that's what I'm saying. That is the problem, right? Because of what's being asked, Regulon's pushing up more than where he should be.
yeah. I think
Because I think off the ball system that Ten Hag played caused part of the issues.
yeah. I don't. I think it's more to do with that's Regulan's brains. Just that's why he's not elite level. Is because instead of picking up the player behind him, he goes to picks up a guy that Ericsson was already on his way towards because it is a longish ball. So I just think you end up with two players picking up one guy, easy pass into Welbeck, and that's it. You're completely overloaded 3 against 2. And in a normal team, yeah, your defensive midfielder is going to get back, but that's not going to happen with Casemiro. He's not going to get back and win that. So, and if you look at the whole season, a lot of the goals, the problem is caused by the fullbacks not closing down at the right moments. How many times have crosses coming from the right or the left and ended up with a clean shot? You look at all of these goals, all similar.
Mm.
First one down the right, the next two down the left. You look at Tottenham, down the right, down the left. The problems are the defending of the fullbacks. It's ridiculous, and then the lack of midfield cover, because Casemiro is a yard off the pace, always the wrong side of the players. But the other problem is the other midfielders are never tracking the other midfield runners. You look at Sar's goal for Tottenham, completely free. Can't blame that on Casemiro completely. Every single time there's a numbers problem because the players aren't tracking back quick enough to get back into position. So, and then offensively, they're not helping themselves because they must be the only team from last year to have regressed in terms of their attacking play. I mean, there is no structure, there is no plan to what they're doing other than losing the ball and trying to play too quick. And for all the optimism Rasmus gave, there's no point having a striker. He had Dunk the whole game. He was ahead of Dunk. His
I was gonna get to that, but yeah, go
but the problem is you got Rashford playing for himself.
on.
Every time Rasmus got the ball into Rashford, I can't remember once. I remember Rashford feeding it back into him. All it became was, oh, Rashford's gonna try and go for goal himself.
But this
So many occasions, Rasmus had Dunk's number, sucked him in, spun in behind. You just got to play the ball back, return ball back, and it's a clear cut one-on-one opportunity.
yeah, but
But
this was gonna be my other question, because it feels like, I mean, I don't know, there's a couple of occasions where like Fernandes picked up the ball, all he's doing is looking for that pass for Rashford to run through, or Hoyland to run through, rather than playing that pass to obviously build up the play. Or then if it goes to Rashford where it's in the counter, all he's trying to do is take the man on. There's so many opportunities where Regulans is overloaded on the left hand side, or Ericsson kind of dropped into that pocket for Rashford to do a quick 1-2 and go. But all he's looking to do is trying to beat that man. How many men is he going to beat? 2, 3, 4? You can't. Come on, you can't do that every single time. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, so like before the game, I had a friend of mine talking about Ten Hag gonna fix it with after sorting out the Sanchez situation. And my response was no, he can't actually fix it yet because fine, he's dealt with the disciplinary issues or the commitment of Sancho, but his two biggest players, his two biggest stars, are his biggest problem still. Is he gonna get rid of and drop Rashford and Fernandez? He ain't.
No.
Now you look at the third goal. Oh no, after you look at the chances. Sorry, chances that Brighton had. One of them at the Mitoma's chance towards the
Toma.
end.
Yeah.
Rashford, simple pass gives he just flaps his hands.
Yeah.
You know, the game
Yeah.
is not over yet.
There's a video of Rashford. I think I sent it to you. I think about 35th odd minute, whatever minute it was. And the keeper gives the ball to the midfielder. All you can see is Rashford kind of walk behind him. They're playing three passes around him, and he's just going literally walking from here to there to
Yeah,
there to there. And I'm like, what is this guy doing?
it's fake pressing, and the worst thing
It's a
is
joke.
he sprints when the ball is 100% going.
Yeah.
So the ball gets played back to the keeper. He'll suddenly charge down the keeper. Why? The keeper is clearly going to clear it.
Because then he doesn't need to do anything Adil after that.
Then he lumbers another bloody 2 minutes just to get back on side. So you got a big problem there because the players, the only two players in that squad who's got goals and proven goals in them are their biggest problems. And their best two players, Fernandez and Marcus Rashford, are the big ones. So I don't see the squad discipline issues getting fixed anytime soon.
But the next question I was going to ask you is the fact that obviously you have this problem from a coach's point of view, right? You used to coach, so Rashford's not going to press the way you wanted to press. So how do you deal with this situation where if you're trying to set up your team to press in a particular way and Rashford's not really going to press because then that breaks the whole system down. So how are you changing that to obviously kind of handle that situation because that is a situation because you can't press on any team anymore.
Well, that's the whole problem they've had all season. Is the whole of pre-season has been this talk of becoming a pressing machine, pressing high up the pitch, and one of the reasons why they brought Mountain and they've changed everything around to one, be a high pressing team, and two, to play a faster, direct football, switching the play quicker. Both has failed miserably. The few times when they started to play the extra pass, the slower tempo, guess what? They start creating chances. They start opening teams up. They start building momentum. But they haven't done that enough. They only do that when they're behind. 2-0 down against them, they started to play composed football. Wolves, they were terrible the whole game. But every time they started to look like they gained some control of the game, it's only when they play the extra pass, when they stop playing this crazy idea of lumping the ball in behind, Hollywood passes all the time, and there's no disguise. There's teams doing similar things, but but they but they work in the opportunity. When Trent is playing, thinking those balls in behind, you've got so much rotation in the middle. You've got so many short 1-2 pass football.
That's what I'm saying. They had 4 passes before that opened up.
No, with here, it's just give it to Bruno. He's going to take 4 touches. Every single one, he's looking at the one player, the one player to send it to, and he's going to send. There's no look. And guess what? He loves doing the no look when it's the most obvious pass. It's like only style it out like that when it's actually genuinely going to trick the whole stadium.
He has to cheer up the fan in there a bit,
I don't know. Like I said, I just think so. They got a lot of problems in terms of obviously the team spirit, the squad, and they're gonna have to show a lot of character just to get in it. But like there were positives, and those positives were Rasmus. He looked absolutely scintillating at times, and that was really promising because you can tell if they have wingers who will actually pass to him,
That's
He's got easy goals because his movement, the intelligence of his runs, the way
listen.
he
Is
plays the defenders. There's a lot of intelligence in what he does. And
is
even that finish for the disallowed goal, I mean, the
yeah,
footwork for that, the
it's
quick
really good. It's really good.
bang, I mean, that shows a lot. So I think there is positives, but not in terms of their identity.
But
They're back.
that's the point I was gonna make is that would this United team with Rashford be able to get the best out of Hoyland? Because if he's making these intelligent runs and they're not playing him, he's gonna get fed up.
No, I don't. I think. Look, the fact that they're under the pump. We've seen Rashford. He does this every second season, where he takes, decides to take a season off because he's still reveling in the season before, and his pay rise. The ridiculous thing is he's on 390,000, and now he's slumbering around. And last
He
year,
wants more money.
he started a movement, with his celebration, with everything, and now this season is complete contradictory. It's hypocrisy. Really, you're talking about mentality, and you make that your sign and your kind of memento, what you represent, and then you're slumbering around this season. What after you got your pay rise and you're thinking, so where's the mentality gone? Surely, what you stand for is more than just based around earning a contract.
Mm,
So,
100%.
so I just think they got problems. And Ten Hag is under pressure. I mean, the fans booing him. That's the first time we've seen any form of like dissent against the manager.
Yeah,
And so he's under a lot of pressure. And I think this is what this United squad needs. It kind of needs to go down this road. And even Ten Hag to a point needs this because the 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 post-match conferences are just becoming more and more delusional. Every game we've created so many. Like they're
that's
not creating that many good chances either.
every game he thinks he's been robbed by the referee or they played really well. And I don't know, there's someone that's something that's robbed him or something. That's why he feels like every game is happening.
I mean, I think his point is fine margins, but that's the difference, isn't it? That every game they've lost is because the opposition they've come up against have been more clinical.
Yeah.
It's not that they've been totally outplayed. I mean, when you
I mean,
look
I
at
mean,
it,
I mean,
look at it,
Brighton had far more of the opportunities than
that's
Man United. If
that's a
you
bit misleading because that's only in the second. If you look at the first half,
yeah, but
the thing is, obviously, United are completely going gun ho crazy. They're not one of those teams that, 3-1 or 3-0 or 2-0. It don't matter. They'll go gun ho to try and get back in the game. What that shows is how good Brighton are as a team tactically, because they completely, whatever United did, they completely just adjusted and demolished them.
this is what I was gonna point to when you were talking about Brighton is the fact that I think towards the after I think after about half an hour or so they realized the space is out wide with the wingers because United were playing with three in the middle, so you couldn't really play too much through the middle and go wide and then come back in. And I think that adjustment helped, and they're really smart. Whether it's Dejerby or his team doing it, it obviously took a bit of time, but once they realized, they've exploited that every single
You
time.
highlighted another point that again, not to take the talk away from the Brighton, but you look at which of the top four teams are completely changing their systems, their personnel, as often as United are. That back four is three players are changing nearly every other game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but while every other club, even where they have competition for places, other than City, because they've had extra games, they had to rotate from the beginning. Um, every other team is settling that back line, settling that look, this guy's first choice for now, and they're playing them and they're bringing the backups on just to keep them happy. Everyone is managing the squad. Who is the first choice right back? Is it Wan-Bissaka? Is it Dallo? No one knows. For no reason, you're just creating unnecessary confusion there. Left back, you can't do nothing about
Can't do nothing, yeah.
injury,
It was,
but but then when you're bringing on subs, you're moving Dallo to that side. It's like, what kind of craziness are you doing? Every
Yeah.
game, there's something strange going on. This game, you bring on start of McTominay because you're worried about Mitoma. I mean, come on, you're at home. If you don't trust Dallo to deal with Mitoma, why the heck have you picked
Yeah.
him over Van Bissaka?
But then why not play Wan-Bissaka, who's a brilliant one-on-one defender? It's just silly.
It's crazy. So there's loads of things you have to question even Ten Hag on, and he's feeling the pressure. And obviously, he needs to step up, and he needs to start going back to basics because it's getting confusing. But I couldn't understand how you play McTominay on that on the right side of your attack, just to combat Mitoma. That's just crazy for a United team at home to be adjusting their formation and then playing a midfielder like a right winger.
Yeah.
That's just silly. I couldn't believe it. Towards the end of the game, how comical it was watching Bruno Fernandes at centre back. Every through ball, Mitoma clean through, Ansu Fati clean through. Like, what kind of XY formula are you coming out with next?
Adid, do you want to hear my comment? I'm dying to say it.
It's like Albert Einstein in child.
Adid, do you want to hear my comment? I'm dying to say it. I'm sorry.
Say it.
Ollie in disguise.
Yeah, that's just that, isn't it? But at the end of the day, United, they deserve all the criticism. Ten Hag deserves all the criticism. He's created a meal out of the Sancho situation. I'm glad he's disciplining Sancho, but he didn't have to do it publicly.
No.
He didn't have to create a storm when you're already in bad form and you've just lost the game against Arsenal.
I mean, he could. That's the point we were making in the previous. That's the point I was trying to make to you in the previous video, because he could have just kind of managed the whole conversation differently and just flag it, whatever, do whatever, not to create any situation. But back to the point about Brighton, obviously, you have to credit them going away to Manchester United, winning twice now at Old Trafford. You have to give them credit.
No, 100%. And again, I think it does ultimately.
And they had 6 changes. I do. Let's not put that away as well.
Yeah, but that's down to the manager's philosophy.
No, I know, but I'm just saying he's still rotating.
No, that's nothing new because he's been doing those type of changes since the start of the season. They've been rotating heavily that midfield. You don't know if it's Dahoud or Gilmore who's the number one there, because they've rotated like that. I think they started 2 each or something. So he's been actually doing that from before. But again, they didn't. The problem is they didn't actually have to be that good to, one, take the lead, two, then to dominate the game, because United was so erratic. And it's strange to say, but Brighton were comfortable without any of their players really having to stand out. Like when Dahoud came off the pitch, I was like, oh my god, I didn't notice him on the pitch once in the game. That's how easy it was just to play through and get the ball into Welbeck, just get the ball into it. It was just so easy, and the lack of press on the defenders.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was quite easy because they were playing that ball to the wing back to the defender, and he hits it straight through the middle of the line to Welbeck, and whoever's playing that 10 role.
So literally, they completely tactically, done a masterclass on United, and that's the saddest thing. Most of those players didn't even have to go into third or fourth or fifth gear.
Yeah.
They strolled and comfortably beat United, which is shocking at home. At Old Trafford, that shouldn't be happening. So, no, let's not get it wrong. It's not the end of the world for United. They're gonna have to start winning these big games, and every decent team they've come against, they've lost.
No, but this was going to be now my next question, is because obviously, as you stated, the fans kind of booed him off after at the end of the result, and the next game you've got is Bayern Munich, so it just doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, but you're saying that, but let's be honest, Bayern Munich, and Tuchel ain't really looking very good either. So
Still Bayern Munich, so
Tuchel struggling himself at Bayern. So it might be it'd be typical of this United team
to
to
go beat them,
step up,
yeah, I
step up,
wouldn't be surprised.
step up, and be motivated for the Champions League. Because really, what we're questioning is the motivation of the squad. A lot of them aren't putting in the shift.
No, no, not at all. Um, let's move on. Obviously, from United and Brighton. Obviously, Brighton got their Europa League game as well, and obviously United got a fixture against.
Yeah, they've got quite a challenging game,
They
haven't
got,
they?
yeah, quite. I forgot
Leverkusen,
who they were played. Sorry.
I don't know. It might be Leverkusen or someone like
Yeah,
that. Someone strong,
yeah.
but
They got a good group. They got a good group.
there's a lot to take from what De Zerbi has done last season and what Ten Hag didn't do.
Yeah,
Uh, you look at Trossard wanting too much money, thought he's bigger than the club. Out he went. That's kept the whole squad listening to De Zerbi.
yeah, yeah. But if you
Everyone,
look, if you look at the two, they both spent the same amount of time pretty much. And here's Deserby's team. Know everyone. Everyone knows what they're doing. He's sold some of his main players, etc. And then obviously you look at the contrast of Ten Hag. It looks like this season all of a sudden his system nothing is working. So it's yeah
but I think you have to factor in that De Zerbi hasn't gone into a club with loads of problems.
no yeah
He's
definitely
gone into a club with everyone knowing you listen to the manager, and there isn't a culture problem. Ten Hag has had a bigger job because he's gone into a place where the players call the shots, and even though he's gotten rid of a lot of substandard players, the players that do listen to the manager, he doesn't rate.
yeah.
That's part of the problem. Is he's relying on flair players who think they're bigger than the club.
Mm.
That's his style. But then the Maguires, the Wan-Bissaka's, those players he doesn't rate are the ones who listen to him. So it's a bad mix, and it's gonna take a bit more.
Shout out to Hannibal Majbi getting his first goal. I think it was. Good finish.
Yeah,
Showed more passion and hunger than all of the players on the pitch.
yeah. And the strangest thing is, he scores a goal. His first goal, he's celebrating. Other players are getting the ball. Guess what? Captain Fernandez is only interested in about going into his ears and telling him off for not getting the ball from the goal. It's like there's other players getting the ball. Is this what your role as captain has come down to?
Yeah, he needs to tell people off, mate.
Guys,
Boss Fernandez.
it's mad.
I think he should take Ten Hag's job. I think. But yeah, let's move on. Let's move on.
Still have faith in Ten Hag.
Let's move on. Let's move to Wolves versus Liverpool. I mean, game of two halves, really. First half, Wolves so dominant, ever so dominant. I mean, I don't know how Matthias Cunha again missed another clanger. This guy just keeps missing on sitters. And then obviously in the second half, they turn it around. What did you make of it?
Yeah, yeah, Liverpool all lost in the first half.
Yeah.
Wolves really dominant. Tactically, their system was causing Liverpool problems. But we've seen this quite a few times with Liverpool this season. Is they've got such firepower that it's like when they can't understand how to stop the team, they just overload it with attackers, and then the opposition just panics. Opposition doesn't know what to do, and the second half, is a different Wolves. For no reason, they stopped pressing. The first half they were pressing.
Yeah.
High, a few times they won the ball back high up the pitch. Second half they just started off just sitting off.
Yeah, I mean,
they
were pressing. They were pressing with what's that new player they signed? Renier
Bellegarde.
Yeah, they were pressing almost with a 4-4-2, and it was working effectively because they kept winning the ball back high up, and they were pressurizing them. And then in the second half, they started off just sitting off, and then allowed the Liverpool midfield to get confidence. Obviously, McAllister was awful in the first half, but then yeah, they got going again.
Yeah, and I just think yeah, like Wolves deserve to lose because of the fact that they completely how do you dominate a first half and then completely throw everything out the window?
Yeah.
Like like, shouldn't you have more belief in what's worked? And you wouldn't mind if they lost, sticking to that because at least they won the first half then, so you can understand. But what do you take from the game now? Your second half, you defended, you completely played a different,
Yeah.
different system to what was working in the first half. So a lack of conviction there. And yeah, Liverpool team, they got too much firepower. They'll find a way. They were, even when they scored, it wasn't like they were really creating chance after chance.
No, no.
They just got so much firepower. I mean, he's bringing on Nunes and Elliot at the time because they were just lumping the ball in the box effectively. They didn't have no
I mean,
creativity.
Diaz came on. He made a big difference straight away. You could see. I mean, that guy. Even
After the goal, then that's when the difference happened. But that first goal
yeah,
is what really just turned. And again, what was that? Ball bobbling around. Jota, through ball nuts. Fortunate
yeah,
nuts.
yeah.
Goes to Salah. Salah scuffs the shot. Goes across goal for.
Goes across too. Yeah.
That's what happens when you have players of that caliber. They'll make something happen because you're always going to respect their individual quality, and so that's going to make you a bit timid in the way you defend against them. And they took full advantage of piling the numbers on.
No, definitely. And then obviously they go on and get the second. But I mean, what was Neto doing, Adil?
Yeah, I mean, again, a rush of head, trying to play that long ball. All credit has to go to Robertson. I mean, that's
Robertson,
a
yeah.
really good finish. Like for the ball to come and let it go across you, sort your footwork out, finish it. Yeah, it's really good. But again, for no reason, a gun ho, ball. Uh, it's just easy defending, easy for the defenders. Liverpool
But I mean,
defend.
he did it. The worst thing is he rushed it so much. He didn't even get it next to the player for him to challenge.
Yeah,
It's just silly.
and there's no but that's also a consequence of how much Liverpool were dominating the game at that point because Wolves just won't get coming out of their half, and and you could see even when he kicked that ball, there's literally 8 players around him.
Yeah,
Wolves, that's how deep they were, and it's you know again that's the pressure of the way Liverpool when they dominate you, they just come wave after wave.
yeah. But what do you take from Liverpool? Because obviously it seems like they're not really controlling many games, and they're obviously winning because of the amount of firepower they have. It's either if the opposition is going to be clinical enough, because obviously they do provide a lot of chances, and it seems that they're winning literally matches through, say for instance, the second half or the first half, whatever. One of the half they're performing and they're just winning the game.
Like I've always thought one of the weaker areas of Klopp's management is his tactical side, but this year they eventually figure out a way to open up teams and to so he's got so many pieces that he can bring on and make slight adjustments with and undoubtedly the biggest difference was moving Sabazai to the defensive midfield position.
Yeah,
He suddenly had a player controlling the game, pinging the ball, getting the ball into those central zones that previously, McAllister couldn't do because he's taking too many touches and playing such a slow tempo. So again, Sabas like just showed what an all-round talent he is because I felt that switch alongside getting the attacking players on, but that switch was the switch that opened up the game because suddenly they're getting the ball in quicker to the attacking players. And
mm.
suddenly, how many balls did he ping into Darwin Nunes? And Darwin Nunes just turns
That's exactly.
turns the turns those.
Late entrance, guys. Hello.
Your appearance has caught me off guard downstairs.
He got scared. He got scared.
Presence is
Wow, oh my gosh, I'm just look like a floating head right now.
Yeah, at the moment, don't worry. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, this is my cuz.
kind of
I know it just looks like we don't know each other what we do.
just on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because I
Like,
put
yeah, Cam, good timing. We're just talking about how Liverpool, you know, it's hard to judge how they're doing because they're winning games and they are playing decent, but it doesn't ever seem like they're completely controlling games. So that question mark is there.
but do you know
Really title challenges or not? It's like that question mark is there because it's like they need to go behind before they turn on.
yeah, but you know the other thing is that but it's also helping because essentially all those wins are just gonna build their confidence. And the more confidence that builds, that team's gonna start believing. And I think obviously that will give a lot of the players when they're coming back that kind of energy to carry that on. So I think as much as obviously it's not fully controlled, I think this is giving them a lot of belief and confidence.
I'd also say though, it was the 12:30 kickoff. I don't think we had our strongest 11, you know. We have certain players missing. And last season we lost all our 12:30 kickoffs. This season,
Yeah.
you know, this season the fact that we went on to win it, you know, it's like I said in my prediction. I think Liverpool are probably grossly underrated because of the way our transfer market went. But if you look at our midfield and if you look at our attack, it's probably quite strong. You know, defensively is probably where we need to kind of sort it out. But other than that, I think we're quite close for title challenges.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, Hassan, about that mental block. Well, you're referring to another game that we're going to talk about with Arsenal, but it's a mental block to overcome that international break, early kickoff, which they've managed to do. So again, yeah, you have to just give the credit where it's due. They are winning games. They're figuring teams out in the second half, and they're putting the chucking more and more attackers into the mix.
Yeah.
And eventually
But
they find a combination to get the goals.
They got so many variations that you know what, depending on whichever team they're playing and whatever they need, they can throw in the different pieces required to solve that issue. So if it's a physical team, you can throw in a Darwin Núñez. If it's something more technical needed, where it's a bit more neat, you can throw in a Jota. You know, if you need a false nine, say for instance, you can throw in someone like a Gap. Like they've got pieces everywhere to kind of solve any attacking issues.
And I think with Gakpo, you can see him more like a false nine. You know, he's more like ball to feet playmaker compared to like Jota, who seems more like a poacher. And Núñez, the only way to describe him is chaos ball, isn't it? Like he comes on and it's just the whole game gets electric. So yeah, as a Liverpool fan, you can say the most exciting attacker at the moment, if not Salah, is Núñez.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit harsh on Diaz there, but
no, I mean, like I said, it's not to say Diaz isn't great. I mean, I'm not trying to say one person's great and one person's not. I'm saying the most exciting when they come onto the pitch, you know, but maybe that's more because he's come on as like an impact sub more than he's been a starter, is that when the legs are tired and he's got the pace to threaten in behind, he just changes the dynamic for us. I think the more he plays and the more the confidence he builds, I think he should be in the starting 11.
But like Salah almost seems like, it's like I've got so many attackers in front of me. I'm just gonna chill and I'm just gonna find holes and I'm gonna become a playmaker like Messi at number 10 now. That's it. 3 assists, 3 assists.
The only record he hasn't got is Trent's assist record. I think he's going for that.
Is that what he's going for? All right,
maybe.
Everyone was saying, and the stats will say like 41 goal contributions in 31 games. You know, like that's irreplaceable. You can see why Saudi came in with the money that they want. You know, so
yeah, phenomenal. And the biggest thing is, whoever the talent is, whoever is coming on, they are all playing for the team.
Yeah.
Passing, they're all giving each other the right, and that's a key point to make because a lot of those players are doing lots of good things for their national teams. They're big players for the national teams. When they come back to Liverpool, they put in a shift. They play for the team. It's not about them. And complete contrast to what you see at United. So
yeah, that's the point I was going to make.
You have to give it.
I missed the United.
Yeah, you missed the United combo, unfortunately.
That laugh has said it all.
Ade, he rang me. He goes, "Can you please push it forward? I really want to speak about United. I really want. I like how much you gonna pay me?"
I was thinking, come on, man, start half an hour later.
But yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to the other Manchester team who went away to the London Stadium, where Cam just came from, almost near about. West Ham, 10 minutes away. Yeah. So 3-1 win. What did you make of it? Obviously, West Ham took the lead, and then City came roaring back.
Yeah, a really strong performance from City. We kind of, everyone knows how this game was going to go. West Ham going to sit in. They're going to be fast in their breaks. They have enough good players to create opportunities, especially the way City go man for man when they're attacking. They're going to take risks, and that's exactly what happened. And ended up going to script. But I was really, really impressed with the City performance. I mean, they didn't lose their heads, and the more and more you watch Rodri play, I mean, he's just turned into the man. He's the main guy of the City team. He's
like the benchmark now, isn't it? That's like the level you need to be as a CDM or centre mid in the Prem now if you want to be considered.
But let's be honest, he's a box-to-box midfielder now.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of dink passes he was doing,
dictating play,
dribbling at the right time. He's in the box taking shots. That phenomenal, like Areola doing 3 or 4 saves.
Yeah. Rodri again.
Every time he's been banned into Rodri, and it's like this guy is seriously getting into that level where you gotta say he's one of the best midfielders in the world.
Definitely.
But if he keeps going like this, I could see him being
area.
If not Premier League Player of the Year, he might be City's Player of the Year, just based off like his performances since the back end of last season and the way he started this season. But because I know everyone's focusing on Haaland, and he could have got about 3-4 goals in that game. But I think when you kind of look at the overall game, you know that Rodri is the one that's kind of pulling the strings right now.
Just to add to that, sorry, Adu, sorry to cut you off. Just to like, if you look at Man City, we had that question mark, right? Gundogan's gone, who was a massive piece in the jigsaw for Man City, and who was going to take over that, right? Because obviously De Bruyne also gone injured, and it seems like that mentality, that drive, and that determination has been taken over by Rodri, and you can clearly see that in every single performance, he is clearly dictating and leading that team.
And I think that's that switch that God made, where is allowing Rodri to be a lot more free, because Akanji goes into that
space
position, and it's just another really subtle but makes such a big difference to the way they play. And the thing is, we're talking about Haaland there, and the link up and understanding between Rodri and Haaland right now is very similar to the way De Bruyne and Haaland understand it. I mean, Rodri is looking and finding Haaland all the time. And how many of those chances was it Rodri looking for him and creating that? I mean, you can see they've got a real understanding of each other's game now. And I thought West Ham were game. They scored a really good goal. But
he's been impressive.
That was one of the strongest performances of Man City that I've seen this season, and is one of the harder. And they didn't panic. And, whoever comes in just looks phenomenal.
That's what I was gonna say. What about Doku? Because obviously, first game, he was ripping Kufar like for fun, man. Come on, he was taking him inside, outside to holiday, coming back, having a cup of tea.
Not what Chelsea have been doing and buying all these wingers who seem to they can't dribble, they can't score. Whereas you've got someone they bought him in. He's probably not had a lot of training sessions with the first team squad, but he just seemed ready to fit right into that system.
Yeah, and Grealish has got a task on his hands, because he looks more explosive. To say the truth, he looks more explosive than Grealish.
He can be a man for fun, Adu. If you see some of the stuff he does, is crazy, man. is crazy. This guy and his lightning. So, I mean, he's got a good balance of like who to pick from depending on what he needs, right? So I think it's a good piece in his jigsaw.
Yeah, I think he would definitely adapt it compared to what game he has. He might need a Grealish in certain games, or depends on who starts, who comes on when they need that extra man. So I can see Doku being a regular starter, but don't be surprised if Grealish plays just as many games.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the key is, let's see if they can keep Rodri fit, they look phenomenal.
Yeah. And let's obviously not forget. I mean, Alvarez, another 2 assists, man.
Yeah, and
anyone who's got him in their FPL, they're eating.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, you think you're gonna get a glimmer of hope. Yes, De Bruyne out for 2 to 3 months. Everyone's getting a bit happy. Yes, finally, and then you get Alvarez coming, doing assists and goals for fun. And it's just an embarrassment.
Let's move on. Obviously, to the Sunday game, Everton versus Arsenal, where Arsenal haven't won in 6 games. Finally get the win. Very what would I say? Slow paced game. Not really much happening. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it's a physical game. If you feel like there's some needle between Dyche and Arteta, everyone's trying to roll around a bit more and get the referee to give a yellow card out, and it's at points it just felt like watching the Classico when Mourinho was there. They acting and really not much exciting football, but this is the thing. Arsenal really have mentality this season, and
go. Yeah, so I mean, I didn't really think that Everton did much anyways to create any opportunities, to be honest, because there wasn't any moment where I thought they would score or they did anything that made me think they would score. It's just about Arsenal, whether they could go and find a goal from somewhere. That was the thing. And obviously Trossard with a brilliant finish.
I would say though, as a Liverpool fan, when I see Everton, because especially when they come up against Liverpool, they're just one of those most annoying teams, and I think they do that against a lot of the big clubs, and then they seem to forget how to play when they versus the mid-table clubs and small clubs, because against the big clubs, they seem to always want to be physical, make it hard, make it difficult. They seem like they turn up one of the best performances of their season, celebrating a draw type of thing, so it was very sweet. I know I'm not Arsenal, but it was just very sweet to see them lose. There's a lot of there's a lot of.
I want to give him the top. Don't worry, I'm going to give him the top. He wants to be an Arsenal fan.
There's a lot of Everton players. Even like when Richarlison was there, can't stand the guy. Pickford, hate him to bits. You know what I mean? So when it comes to Everton losing, I love it. So if they get relegated, I hope they get relegated this season.
They won't get relegated.
I'm waiting for a team that we talk about where Cam doesn't somehow relate it back to Liverpool. Somehow, I'm still waiting for that moment.
No, not always.
Don't worry.
Only when it's relevant.
But to get back to the point, I would say what
Cam rather we related to United.
At the moment, you don't even need to. More distance.
What is it? More allegations than wins this year.
No, more statements.
More statements than wins.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? Headlines at least, eh?
Trying to stay positive. Not positive. Trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
I'm sure they still got like loads of social media followers, so number one on that chart, maybe.
But in terms of Arsenal, they haven't started the season off that great. Winning a lot of games, just clearly 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever it is. Doesn't seem like it's flowing or they've got it together. They've got anything together at the moment.
Yeah, I always get worried when teams go into the mentality mode so early, because it drains you when you're relying on so many games through mentality, and already it's like every game I watched of Arsenal this season, other than one maybe, come the 85th minute, it's world record time wasting going on from the. It's like from the 80th minute onwards, they go into the corner flag, and they stop playing, and it becomes a really disjointed game, and it works for them. They managed to see the game out without really ever conceding, but that's a mental strain. That's taken on a lot of pressure. That shows the mentality of.
Yeah, we've frozen. He's frozen.
Already going to. That is something that's going to be.
Sorry, I
kind of.
It froze for us for a bit.
Nodding. We don't actually know what you said.
You're both happy then. I don't know if I need to repeat it, but I was just saying they're going down to the well a lot against these teams, time wasting and really trying to secure the wins. And it feels like they're already feeling the pressure of keeping up with the City team. And City doesn't feel like that. It just feels like they're hitting this. You can tell them and hit top stride here. And Arsenal, it just feels like they're feeling the pressure of keeping up and the pressure of the results. You just think that might weigh down on them sooner than last season it did, because it weighs down on him, and that energy of just the pressure to win takes a lot out of you. So that's the worry. I think they do need to get fluid. They are relying on individual brilliance here and there to win moments in matches. But again, look, we're saying about Everton and their game plan. It was working. It was frustrating enough. Yeah. They had quite a few breaks. Doucouré breaking through quite a few times. The thing that was really good for me was Arsenal's man-for-man defending. Saliba, Gabriel. No, none of those breaks, and there was some where there was overload on.
Yeah,
they made it difficult for Everton to turn them into clear-cut chances. Rice tracking back, putting the pressure from behind, allowed the centre backs to keep their shape and make the right decisions. So, look, you have to give credit to Arsenal. They look really good off the ball. They know what they're doing. And on the ball, they're probing. I mean, you see the mentality. They are taking the game to the opposition without having much rhythm.
No, but this is I think where I'm gonna slightly different. I think that gelling of the team is still not there yet. It's not fully obviously fluent, obviously because of the amount of changes they're making recently. I think so. Once obviously that whole thing kind of the jigsaw fits in, I think it'll be different. Usually because obviously you've seen last year where they've gone and scored 2-3 goals and then all of a sudden the game is kind of stayed after that. But this hasn't happened yet, so I think there is still chance for that.
But I'm confident Arsenal, kind of similar to like City last year. The City didn't have a strong start and then they kind of came into form. At least with Arsenal at the moment, they might not be on great form based on performance, but they're still winning games. Do you know what I mean? They're at least they're managing it, they're scraping it, and City done it a ton of times. They've gone right to the wire and then they've won games right at the last minute. And now you've got those long added times where it's that time wasting you're getting back, you're gonna see more of those. I think we've already seen a lot more 85, 90 plus goals. So it's just one of those things where I think where you're getting that time back in the game, as well as they're showing their mentalities and they're showing that they've got that strength. When it comes to maybe just seeing the game out and winning the game when it comes to
how confident are you that? It seems like the first sub for every time when Arsenal aren't quite in the lead is Fabio Vieira.
What's that? Sorry, say that again.
That Fabio Vieira is the one that seems.
Yeah, it's always the first sub. I was quite surprised today when they brought him on when Martinelli went off. I was like,
no, Fabio Vieira started. Adil. Trossard's the person that came on.
Yeah, so even that, just like it just seems like every time it's Fabio Vieira's like the guy next in line every time.
No, I mean, we got Jesus who was there, but I think obviously he's saving him because we got PSV on Wednesday. So I think he was trying to rotate the squad to give enough minutes to everyone else, because everyone needs to get up to speed, right? He's going to need the squad because he's got 2 games, right? So I think he's being smart and obviously saving some of the players for Wednesday. So I think in that sense he's obviously managing it and trying to get. And Fabio Vieira, to be honest, he deserves it, because obviously the last 2 games he's came on and he's affected both the games. The game against Fulham got 2 assists, and in the last game he's got another assist as well. So he kind of deserved that go ahead, and I think he had an assist again today if he wasn't for Nketiah being offside. So
yeah, Nketiah is always offside. So I think these risks are. I mean, they're only smart if you end up winning the game. You know, things like leaving Nketiah up front the whole game. Things are playing Jesus on the left eventually when he did come on, and Trossard moving in.
No, Nketiah went off, Adil.
Did he?
Yeah, and Nketiah went off for Jesus. Okay, Jesus came on the 65th.
You can't play Gabriel Jesus on the left.
But sorry, I should have mistaken for Saka with more central. Sorry. So those risks that's going. I don't know. I think they pay enough because they're winning, but that's the difference. He's having to take risks that he wouldn't have done last season because of Europe already.
But I mean, but he also, I think, in contrary, it shows that he has faith in the squad. But let's move it on to the game that where it was left to the last moment. Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, talk about leaving it to the last moment. It was like literally the last moments. Winning 2-1 against Sheffield United. What did you make of it? Because obviously Richarlison finally gets his goal.
Yeah, Spurs definitely deserved the win. They were the better team. Sheffield United have been difficult against every team they've played against. They've competed against every team. They've got something about them. Up until they hit the 90th minute, they self-destruct. So, yeah, they did what Wolves did in the second half against Liverpool, which is just completely go deep. And as Tottenham put more attackers on, Sheffield United reacted, and it took and you knew the writing was on the wall when they took their best players. They're taking Hammer off. They were the only players who had composure and were able to keep the ball, and then you take them off because you're just seeing Tottenham take a defender off for attacker, defensive midfielder off for attacker, and you can tell is it Heckingbottom?
Heckingbottom, yeah.
Yeah, just reacted to the changes that Big Ang made.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they kind of gave away themselves, because if you look at the second goal, Anel Ahmadovic, I can't, but the Bosnian brother, if you look at they won that ball back. Why play that risky pass when it's 1-1? You're away at Tottenham. 1-1 is a good point. Heroes.
I think we've said this before, though. I think something about them. They play really well, but they just can't see out a game. You can always, almost as any team, go when you go up against Sheffield, think we might still get a result, because there's something about them, that
with mentality.
Yeah, it must be the mentality, because there's nothing wrong. You can't fault their performance. They're obviously getting the goals. They're showing that they've got resilience. But it's like you said, they self explode. They implode on themselves, and then they've let Tottenham come back to the game, and not only just draw, they would let them get a winner, and go on to lose all points instead of getting a point from it.
What made that clearance worse is Tottenham, like in those 2-3 minutes, were all over Sheffield United. So it was like there was no part of that should have felt casual, because and that's the thing that really impressed me. After the goal, Tottenham went into one-touch football all the way, and they're just slicing through Sheffield United, even though they had everyone back. They're just slicing through them because they picked up the tempo.
Yeah.
And it was good to see. And, I think they'll be really, really look, the goal for the winner, there's a couple of really good touches, one-touch football, really fast tempo. But to concede the Richarlison goal, a free header.
Yeah.
End up picking up a basic.
What is B.Ham doing, man?
It was ridiculous.
But it sets up perfectly. It sets up perfectly for next Sunday. North London. Looking forward to it.
And I'm really excited to see that, because
is Arsenal home?
couldn't get more contrasting styles. Right now, you couldn't get two teams that are more contrast in their styles because Arsenal seem like they're more focused on not giving up chances and they'll find a way through. And Tottenham is all about they'll give you chance, they're just going to keep attacking and they're backing themselves to
That's up for another exciting.
Even though Tottenham have been winning games, though, you can still see that they kind of rely on like having that star player. You know, in the way that they rely on chances. I think they are very heavily reliant on Maddison being like that sole creator. Not to say that they've not made massive improvements, but I think with Arsenal, at least there's a bit more, dynamic difference between them. You know, you can trust Martinelli, Saka, Gabriel Jesus. You know, there's more players that can come into the fold. So I think Arsenal will probably be favourites, especially being at home.
Let's see. Does make for games, and the smart money is Arsenal picking them off.
Super Sunday. Let's see what happens. I'm excited for it. I'm excited. Adil, thank you. Cameron, thank you for joining us. And for those of you watching, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Please leave comments because it's going to help us. And I see a lot of you that are watching the videos but not subscribing. Why? Why? Just click that button. It's not that difficult.
If we came too much on WhatsApp with them, you need to get them to go to put it onto the comments and not DM you.
No one DMs me, man. Stuff
You're answering all of them directly. You need to get them to do the comments. No response.
I would be wary of Adil. He seems to have been looking through my phone too much. I don't know why. Thank you very much for those of you watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.